Dear students, now let us find kinetic energy of a rigid body rotating about a fixed axis. Here, kinetic energy formula we know K is equal to half mv square. Now, there are several particles inside a rigid body. Let us consider three particles. Here m1 particle is there, and see, as the body is rotating about the fixed axis, this m1 particle is describing a circle around the axis of rotation, and the perpendicular distance from the axis is r1, and its velocity, its tangential velocity at this point is v1. So now, if we consider this first particle, we will write half m1 v1 square plus, next considering the second particle, half m2 v2 square. Similarly, considering third particle, half m3 v3 square plus so on, because there are several particles are there. But v is equal to r omega. See, we have derived the relation. This is the relation between linear velocity and angular velocity. Now for first particle it will be v1. See, first particle is at a distance of r1 omega. Here we don't write omega 1 because all particles take same time to complete one rotation. Therefore, all the particles have same angular velocity. We can take an examples. In our houses, we have a ceiling fan. See here, you take one blade. With a chalk piece, you mark here one dot, here one dot, here one dot. This dot is nearer to the axis of rotation. Nearer to the axis of rotation. Here the distance is very small. This is a little farther. And this is further larger. See, this is m1 r1, m2 r2, and m3 r3. See, even though the particles are at different distances from the axis of rotation, as the blade is moving, all the particles in the blade will have same angular velocity. They take same time to complete one rotation. Therefore, we don't write omega 1, omega 2, omega 3 like that. Only omega, because all the particles have same angular velocity. Now, v2 means r2 omega. See, m2 particle is at a distance of r2. Similarly, v3 is equal to r3 omega. So let us substitute these values in the equation. K is equal to half m1. v1 means r1 omega whole square plus 1 by 2, and omega square is common. So what is remaining? m1 r1 square, m2 r2 square, m3 r3 square plus so on. 1 by 2 omega square. This can be written as summation of I is equal to 1 to n. Suppose there are n particles are there. Mi Ri square. Mi Ri square. Now, see in this equation we got, let me write the equation here again. K is equal to half summation Mi Ri square omega square. Here we define a new parameter characterizing the rigid body called the moment of inertia. Now we are introducing a new parameter and the name given to that is moment of inertia. So here this bracketed term is called as moment of inertia, and that moment of inertia is represented by capital I, and that is given by I is equal to summation I is equal to 1 to n Mi Ri square. So in this way we are defining the moment of inertia. See, moment of inertia is nothing but, here we can understand very easily here in this equation, mass into perpendicular distance square. Sum of see in this is for one particle, mass into perpendicular square, mass into perpendicular square, like that. So for all particles you are considering mass into perpendicular distance and adding, we are getting the new parameter called moment of inertia. See, this is equation 1, this is equation 2, and see, this is equation 3, this is equation 4. Now substituting this here, substituting 4 in 3, we get K is equal to half I omega square, half I omega square. So this is called kinetic energy of a rotating body. This is kinetic energy of a rigid body rotating about a fixed axis. So this is kinetic energy of a rotating body about a fixed axis, about a fixed axis, and I is called moment of inertia. If we compare kinetic energy of a rotating body and kinetic energy of a body in linear motion, here linear velocity came, for linear motion linear velocity came, for rotational motion angular velocity came, 1 by 2 common. Here in place of mass, here I value came, I is moment of inertia. So we can say rotational analog of mass is moment of inertia. See, now it is very interesting to compare mass and moment of inertia. See what is the physical significance of mass in linear motion and moment of inertia in rotational motion. That let us consider. Let us compare mass in linear motion and moment of inertia in rotational motion. That is, we are comparing M and I. Mass of a body resists a change in its linear motion. Moment of inertia about an axis of rotation resists a change in its rotational motion. That is, M resists linear motion, I resists rotational motion. This property is called inertia. Therefore, M is a measure of its inertia in linear motion. I is a measure of its inertia in rotational motion. We can consider an example here. Suppose two bodies of different masses are put to motion. Suppose this is having 1 kg and this is having 3 kg mass. Initially both are having same velocity, say 3 meter per second. Here also 3 meter per second. They have started with same velocity. So which particle comes to rest quickly? The particle having large mass will come to rest quickly, because more the mass, more will be inertia. Therefore it opposes the motion. If it is in linear motion, it wants to be in linear motion and it opposes to come to rest. If it is at rest, it opposes to come into linear motion, like that. So here considering these two particles, this is having 1 kg mass, this is having 3 kg mass. So lower the mass, lower will be the inertia, low inertia. Here mass is more, therefore this will have large inertia. What is the property of inertia? Inertia is a property that if it is moving, it resists coming to rest, and if it is at rest, it is unwilling to come into motion, like that. Here both have started with same velocity, so they are in motion. So here inertia is a property that they are unwilling to come to rest. But here its mass is less, so its inertia will be less. So even though it is unwilling to come to rest, after traveling certain distance it will come to rest. But here this is having large mass, it is having large inertia, therefore it is very much unwilling to come to rest. Therefore it takes more time to come to rest. Before it comes to rest, it travels a large distance. So like that. Similarly, this is in linear motion. Now here, in case of rotational motion, we take an example of fan, because fan is rotating about a fixed axis. So here if we let us consider fan, how this fan is having the property of inertia. Let us consider how a fan has a property of inertia. When you switch on, you see, now the fan is at rest. When you switch on it, you put it. So in the switch, so here you kept the highest number, say 4 or 5, and you switch on. it doesn't begin with 5 number speed. It begins with low speed and it takes time to reach the 5 number speed. Y means it is at rest by the property of inertia. It wants to be at rest. It is unwilling to come into rotational motion. That's why it is taking some time to reach the 5 number speed. So this is called inertia, or this is called rotational inertia here. This is called rotational inertia. So this rotational, here in the linear motion, inertia is depending upon mass. More the mass, more the inertia. And in rotational motion, the inertia, the rotational inertia is depending upon I value. If I value is small, rotational inertia small. If I value is large, rotational inertia also large. Just now we have defined a new physical quantity, that is moment of inertia for a rotating body about a fixed axis. How we define moment of inertia is mentioned by capital I, and it is equal to summation of I is equal to 1 to n mi ri square. That means m1 r1 square plus m2 r2 square plus m3 r3 square plus so on up to mn rn square. See here m1 particle, see first particle mass multiplied by square of its perpendicular distance from its rotation axis. Similarly second particle, similarly nth particle, m1 r1 square plus m2 r2 square, so on. So in this way we defined moment of inertia. Now let us consider its SI unit. What is its SI unit? See here, first is mass. Mass is measured in kg, and here perpendicular distance square. So distance means meter, meter square. So kg meter square. Now let us consider its dimensional formula. See here mass. Here distance square means L square. T is not occurring, so T power 0. M power 1, L power 2, T power 0. Now let us consider on what factors moment of inertia depends. On what factors m of I, moment of inertia, depends. Number 1, mass of the body. Second, position of the axis of rotation. Position of the axis of rotation. Third, distribution of mass of the body about the axis. About the axis. So these three factors we can easily understand by taking an example. Let us take one example. Let us take a rectangular lamina. Let us take a rectangular lamina. See, this is having uniform density and uniform thickness. So you enter a spoke in exactly at the center of mass. Now you made a hole here and you rotate the body just with some speed. You rotate, it will rotate for some time and comes to rest. Afterwards, same rectangular lamina, but second time you take spike, you make a hole to that at this point. Now you rotate around the spike. So in the compared to this, here it will rotate only for a small interval of time and comes to rest. It will fall down. See, the reason is here mass is equally distributed around the axis of rotation. See, this is the axis of rotation. See, all the particles are at equal distances around the axis. But here on one side mass is less, on the other side mass is more. Distribution of mass, see, on what factors this depends? Position of the axis of rotation. See, in this position it is rotating for larger time interval, and when the axis of rotation is here, it is rotating for small time interval. And the third point, distribution of mass of the body about the axis. See, here distribution is symmetrical. Here distribution is this side small mass, this side large mass. So in this way, moment of inertia see the value of I, since on what factors I depends upon these three factors. So but here we have compared M and I. If a body is given, its mass is constant. You can add one more point here. What is that point? Third point. M for a body is constant. Suppose a body is given, suppose a meter scale is given, its mass is constant. But here, suppose a meter scale is given. Its mass is constant. But when we go for the moment of inertia, its I value is not constant. For a given body, I is not constant. See, I value depends upon axis of rotation. If axis of rotation is like this, and this is meter scale is rotating about its center of mass, it will have certain value. Say suppose 12 kg meter square. If the same meter scale is made to rotate about this axis, this time it will have moment of inertia some 20 kg meter square. Like that. So for a given body, I value is not constant. It depends upon axis of rotation. Let us find I value for a thin ring. See how we defined I value? M1 R1 square plus M2 R2 square plus so on. In this way we defined I. Now let us divide this into several segments, equal segments. See, each segment has mass, each segment is having a mass delta m, suppose from here to here. From here to here the mass is a delta m, and this mass is at a distance of capital R. All segments are at the same distance. Okay, now see, this is first segment, so here mass, first mass particle is delta m, and it is at a distance of r, so r1 square means r square, plus second segment, that is also delta m, and it is at a distance of, see, since this is a circle, all segments will be at the same distance, so here also r square, plus third segment, plus fourth segment, plus nth segment. Now r square is common, so delta m plus delta m plus delta m to r square. So the masses of all segments is concerned means that is that added gives the total mass of the thin ring. The total mass of the thin ring is capital M, so m r square. So I is equal to mr square. In this way, we find, see, we could find the moment of inertia of a thin ring using the definition. Similarly, let us find I value of another item, say dumbbell. I value of dumbbell. See, this is, see, the dumbbell is in this shape. The dumbbell is in this shape. See, both will have same mass. Both will have same mass. So suppose total mass is, so suppose total mass of a dumbbell. See, if you put the dumbbell in a balance, suppose its mass is capital M. Since both are having same masses, this will have m by 2, this will have m by 2. Now, I of a dumbbell, let us find I of a dumbbell about, see here, we are finding moment of inertia here. See, we have to mention the axis of rotation also. I of a thin ring, I of a thin ring around its center of mass, around its center of mass and perpendicular to its plane, perpendicular to its plane. See here, the axis of rotation is like this. The axis of rotation is like this. It is rotating. See, its axis of rotation. And here, for dumbbell, we are taking axis of rotation like this. See, from here to here, the length is L. So now from here to here, it will be L by 2. And from here to here, it will be L by 2. The distance from here to here is L. Now about this axis of rotation, now we have to find I value. I is equal to m1 r1 square plus m2 r2 square. See, here we are having only two particles, therefore only two terms. m1 means its mass is m by 2. Its mass is m by 2. R1 is this distance. This distance, say perpendicular distance from axis of rotation, L by 2. L by 2 whole square plus m to this mass m by 2 or to this distance L by 2 whole square. So is equal to m L square by 8. M L square by 8. So that becomes m L square by 4. So its I value is this much we have found. As a measure of the way in which the mass of a rotating body is distributed with respect to axis of rotation, we can define a new parameter called radius of gyration as follows. See here, we are introducing another term, and that is radius of gyration, that is K, capital K. See, why we are defining this new parameter means, this speaks about, see, previously we considered, see, when axis of rotation is middle and when the axis of rotation is at the edge, the I value is different. The reason is how the mass is distributed around the axis of rotation. So when we are interested in this, how mass is distributed with respect to axis of rotation, how mass is distributed with respect to axis of rotation. If you are interested in this, then we should have a new parameter called radius of gyration. It is represented by K, and it is related to moment of inertia in this way. I is equal to mk square, where I is moment of inertia, capital M is total mass of the body, and K is radius of gyration. Now let us define radius of gyration. See, we have taken a rigid body. See, this is a rigid body. This is a rigid body, and it is being rotated about OO dash axis. OO dash is the axis of rotation. Radius of gyration of a rigid body about an axis of rotation is the distance between the axis of rotation and a point at which whole mass of the body is concentrated. This may be taken as center of mass or center of gravity. So radius of gyration is nothing but it is distance between axis of rotation and a point at which whole mass of the body is concentrated. So this distance is called as radius of gyration. And if moment of inertia of this rigid body about this axis is I, then I is equal to mk square, where K is called radius of gyration and capital M is total mass of the body. Now it's SI unit. SI unit of radius of gyration. See, radius of gyration is nothing but a distance. Therefore, its SI unit is meter. Its SI unit is meter. Now, if you want a dimensional formula, to get a dimensional formula, let us write this. See, K square is equal to I by M, or K is equal to I by M under root. See here, sorry, dimensional, we need not find all these things. Say SI unit is meter, since the radius of gyration is nothing but distance, therefore distance means L, therefore dimensional formula will be m power 0 L power 1 T power 0. That's all. Now let us consider on what factors radius of gyration value depends. Number 1, it depends upon mass of the body. See here, I is equal to mk square. K square is equal to I by m, or K is equal to square root of I by m. See, K value is depending upon mass of the body. Second, K value depends upon its shape and size. Third, it depends upon distribution of mass about the axis of rotation. This is related to I value, because I value changes with the distribution of mass about the axis of rotation. Similarly, fourth point, position and orientation of axis of rotation. See here, if the axis of rotation is in middle, it will have one I value. If it is nearer to the edge, it will have a different I value. In that way, it depends. K, see, there is I also there, therefore K value depends upon I factors also. Therefore, it is written K value depends upon position and orientation of axis of rotation. Now, let us consider use of knowledge of I value. See, in steam engine, in automobile engine, a disc with large I value is used, and that disc is called flywheel. See, what is the use of this flywheel? First of all, this flywheel is having large I value, and I value is nothing but moment of inertia, and it measures the inertia in rotational motion. It is a measure of rotational inertia. See, suppose our vehicle is at rest and it is suddenly accelerated to some large velocity. Naturally, we sitting in the inside the vehicle, we undergo a jerky motion, or already it is moving with this velocity, and suddenly brakes are applied and it is forced to come to rest immediately. So there is a sudden increase of speed, here sudden decrease of speed. In both cases, we undergo jerky motion. So inside the vehicle, if we make use of flywheel, which is having large I value, it resists the motion. So we do not feel the jerky motion. Either it is put to motion or it is made to come to rest. It is gradually put to motion here, and it is gradually it comes to rest because of using flywheel having large I value. Because of its large moment of inertia, the flywheel resists the sudden increase or sudden decrease of the speed of the vehicle. It allows a gradual change in the speed and prevents jerky motions, thereby ensuring a smooth ride for the passengers on the vehicle. Now let us find work done by a torque. See here, the rigid body is moving about a fixed axis with angular velocity omega. As the rigid body is moving about a fixed axis, a particle at P1, it is describing a circle around the axis of rotation. Say the radius of the circle is R1, center of the circle is C, and the particle's position vector is given by R. Here let us concentrate on this circle. So this circle diagram is shown separately here. See, the circle lies in xy plane and the axis perpendicular to the circle is z axis, and in the plane of the circle there is x and y axis. So this circle diagram is shown here. So here initially the particle is at P1. See, first point, the particle at P1 describes a circular path of radius R1 with center C on the axis. And second, in time delta t, the point moves from P1 to P1 dash position. See here, the linear displacement is ds1 and the angular displacement is d theta. And angle in radians is arc by radius. Here for this sector the arc is ds1 and radius is r1 and angle in radians is d theta. So from this we get by cross multiplication ds1 is equal to r1 d theta. Now let us write the work done. See, on this particle F1 force is applied. So the first let us write the general formula. Work done by a force. How we defined in the previous lesson, work done by a force is defined as W is equal to F dot D. F is force, D is the displacement. Scalar product of force and displacement is called work done. So here let us apply this formula to our present case. The work done by a force, that is F1, by F1 on particle at P1. Here the particle is there. See here, work done is dW1 is equal to force is F1 dot displacement. Here in dt time it has undergone ds1 displacement. So here this is equal to, see, a cross b, a dot b gives ab cos theta. Similarly f1 dot ds1 gives f1 ds1 cos. Angle between f1 and ds1, angle between f1 and ds1 is pi 1. So here, but if we look at the diagram here, see here tangent is drawn at P1 here. This is the tangent to the circle, and this is the R1, this position vector R1 is extended here. So tangent and this line, in between these two lines there will be 90 degrees of angle. If from here to here the angle between F1 and ds is pi 1 and the remaining angle is alpha 1. So here we can write pi 1 as 90 minus alpha 1. Pi 1 can be written as 90 degrees minus alpha 1. So here let us write F1 ds1 cos, here in place of this 90 minus alpha 1. So we get F1 ds1 cos 90 minus alpha means sin alpha 1. Sin alpha 1. But here we obtained ds1 is equal to r1 d theta. Let us substitute this here. Substituting 1 in 2, we get dw1 is equal to f1 ds1 means r1 d theta, and this is sin alpha 1. Now r1 f1 sin alpha 1, let us write d theta here. But r if sin alpha is nothing but torque, therefore torque 1 d theta. So dw1 is equal to torque 1 d theta.